Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Orissa, a state here in India, in the east part of India, actually. Very famous for the temple of Jagannatha Puri in Puri Dham. Most people, when they think of Orissa, they think of Jagannatha Puri and the great Rath Yatra, etc. And as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, of course, we remember the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He spent many, many years here in the Gambhira temple. And so many pastimes are there of Mahaprabhu's pastimes in Jagannath Puri and Antya Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita. But there's many other pastimes that took place in Orissa. The Lord, his expansions, his devotees. The history goes back millions of years, actually. And recently we were invited by the Raj Guru, the Guru of the King of Puri, to come to Orissa and travel around and document and film, actually make a documentary on the lost temples of Orissa. Because usually pilgrims go to Puri or a little bit Bhubaneswara, but they don't travel so much into the outward areas of the jungles, where there's many beautiful temples. So the king would like to have these temples also become famous. And I think the Raj Guru knew about our work in Vrindavan, you know, so many albums on Facebook and so many videos, discourses about Vrindavan. So they'd like to make the lost temples of Orissa famous as well. So this is our first day. Our base is in Bhubaneswara, but we've driven about 2.5 hours into the jungle, literally into the jungle, to our first, to document this first temple that we've been here this morning. And this temple actually consists of, you could say, 4 shrines or 4 temples. It was established 5,000 years ago by the Pandavas. Actually, we know the Pandavas were sent into exile for many, many years. And the last year, they had to be incognito. But they were wandering. They weren't allowed to, they were no longer considered a king or princes. They had to wander. But history shows that wherever the Pandavas went, because they were Kshatriyas, rulers by nature, wherever they went, stayed for some time, while they were staying there over a period of time, they would establish temples of Vishnu. Very famous like that. They wouldn't just go and be there, but they would establish temples of Vishnu so they could worship. And later on, when they left, those who were in the area could also worship. So it's interesting why they would establish temples of Vishnu when they're devotees, obviously devotees of Krishna. A very simple answer is there's no difference between Vishnu and Krishna, the same personality. Of course, Vishnu, let us say, Lord Narayan, he has 60 transcendental qualities. Krishna has 64. Krishna's famous for that. 4 more qualities than Lord Narayan or Vishnu, but essentially the same person. So we call ourselves Vaishnavas. We're worshippers of Vishnu, but ultimately Krishna, Swami Bhagavan. Like you consider Prabhupada's prana mantra, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale, that he's taken shelter of the lotus feet, the Padaya, the Padas of Lord Vishnu. So in that sense, the Pandavas, great devotees of Krishna, but they would travel and establish these temples of Vishnu. There's 5 here. So their history is very interesting. I've been lecturing extensively on Krishna Balaram and Radha and Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, the mood of the Brajabasis. So we've come here, it's a different mood. We know that the Pandavas, the history of the Pandavas is they went through so much adversity in their lives. It's a little bit of a different mood than in Vrindavan. The Pandavas are traveling here. They lost the gambling match. They got into exile. They're being attacked by so many demons. Their whole Leela is very much in that mood. But why? Well, one way we can approach that is to understand that we're facing so many adversities in our lives as well. One time Prabhupada, he summarized material existence as problematic. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Dukkalayam Ashashvatam, this place is a temporary place full of so many miseries. So as to show devotees how to live in a temporary world of so many difficulties, the Pandavas are there to show us that when difficulties come, little ones, medium ones, big ones, what does a devotee do? He turns to Krishna for shelter. And by turning to Krishna for shelter, experiencing that shelter, one's faith in Krishna increases.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
In the good times, we chant, we dance, we feast on prasadam. But when the difficulties come, we don't forget Krishna. Oh, why is this happening to me? We take it that Krishna is trying to teach us a lesson, that we can't be happy here. And what should we do when there's adversity, when there's difficulties, when there's tragedy? We should turn to Krishna and pray to him to help us give up our attachment to this world, which is causing us pain. It's kind of ironic. The material is causing us so many problems, yet we remain attached. So when we go through these difficulties, we become a little bit more renounced and we become more attached to Krishna. We call out for Krishna's help. Like in the Padyavali of Rupa Goswami, there's that verse, my dear Lord, I'm drowning in the whirlpool of material existence. Please, just this one time, extend your hand to save me. So if someone saves you, you feel indebted to that person. If you're at the beach and you're drowning and the lifeguard comes and he saves you, there's probably a lifetime relationship there. So what to speak if Krishna or his representatives, if the spiritual master saves us from the ocean of material existence, how indebted we are to the spiritual master, to our previous acharyas, to Krishna, to Srila Prabhupada, the founder of this movement from All Good Wishes Are Coming. He's our ever well-wisher. So by hearing the activities of the Pandavas, we can learn to tiksha, how to tolerate the miseries of this world, and what's more, in adversity, to take shelter of Krishna. And we see how many times the Pandavas were saved. That's there in the Bhagavatam, Kunti Devi's prayers. You sent this problem, or rather this problem came, and that problem came, and the poison cake, and so many difficulties were coming. But as a result, we always remembered your lotus feet. And by remembering your lotus feet, we no longer have to see the repetition of birth and death. So Krishna arranged this. He arranged this. And there's a beautiful verse, a commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I'm just going to read a few lines from his commentary, it's somewhere in the 10th canto. He writes, the Lord shows his affection for his devotee by protecting Bharat in the form of a deer, referring to that pastime, so that he would fall in the ocean of remorse in order to drown in the ocean of prema. Speaking about Bharat Maharaj, the Lord helped arrange that pastime ultimately so that Bharat Maharaj could fall into the ocean of remorse in order to drown in the ocean of prema. So these are lessons to be learned. We're sadhakas, we're aspiring devotees, and we maintain some attachments, unfortunately. So by giving us a real taste, revealing the real nature of this material world, the real face of material nature, we turn away. And from the darkness of material existence, the cruel nature of material, we face the beautiful face of the Lord. So much to learn from the Pandavas. So we're here, these temples, these shrines, they established 5,000 years ago, and we've come here to take shelter and to pray to them to be able to do as they did, take full shelter of Krishna. A little bit different lectures than Vrindavan, but this is necessary because we always have to be honest where we're at in devotional service. So these are our first baby steps. We're sadhakas. So we've come here to embrace that mood so that we can eventually join Krishna in his Braj Leela in the spiritual world, all by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So please follow us. We're going to be traveling all around Orissa, discovering the lost temples of Orissa. This is the real adventure in life. Hare Krishna. Thank you.